All right. Are we ready to start? Okay. Ani do video sepeda cuma begitu jadi pengalaman hancur dekat pada cuma masih satu untuk situ nak kerja kakak ini nama dia orang jadi kamu. Betul ya tahu apa itu jadi masih jadi apa idenya macam apa macam jadi hari jangan baru baca kan. Lebih awal cuma mana mungkin am jadi orang beri yang itu kita nama macam at the University of Arizona. Jadi dokter kita ambil yang dokter Department of Linguistics. Jadi teman di di dalam dokter mau ini apa montas mas mau macam ini dari orang ini American Indian Language Development Institute. Lebih awal cuma sisa tentang kontrol secara tak ambil mampu melihat dan ambil mampu ambil begini sisa di mampu nak ya tak mampu terasa. But I'm excited to welcome you to our event this afternoon. That is a part of the International Mother Language Day event that we host each year. Today, February 21st. It's International Mother Language Day, and we'll say a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Anyway, my name is Ophelia Cepeda, and I'm from the Lakota Nation. I'm faculty here in the Department of Linguistics, and also director of the American Indian Language Development Institute. And so very happy that you are able to join us today for this part of our event for the day, which includes a panel and a reception, just again to focus on the work of and on Indigenous languages here in the U.S. and around the world. Before I hand it over to the panel, I do want to just make a couple of remarks to perhaps in some cases to inform you that this year, 2022, starts the International Decade for Indigenous Languages. And the decade starts from 2022 to 2032. And January initiated the decade, of course. And I've been very fortunate to be asked to represent our, what UNESCO calls the cultural region, which is all of North America, or actually the United States. And so I'm very honored to have that position, although the position description is sort of vague, but I'm very fortunate to have people around me, not only here at the university, but across the country that are going to be working with me to make sure that the United States has a successful decade focusing on Indigenous languages of this country. And that whole idea of the International Decade, of course, stemmed from the International Year that they had in 2019. Sadly, many people were not aware that occurred. It went very quickly. And also was designated by UNESCO. As a result of that, many Indigenous people pushed for the decade. And so here we are beginning this important time for Indigenous languages. And things are still, in flux as far as planning. Not so much at the UNESCO level, but UNESCO has handed over the responsibility to Indigenous people of each cultural region to develop their own plans of what they want to do for the decade. And so that is the work that is just now starting. And there's many areas that certainly can be addressed during the decade. Any areas starting with local, your tribal community, your schools, even your family and your homes. and state level, changes, policy changes as it deals with Indigenous languages, and certainly state and national as well as international levels where it's appropriate for U.S. to participate. So like I said, it's a huge endeavor, but I think it's an important one. And then we are hoping that the decade certainly keeps the focus on Indigenous languages. Certainly all areas of the work that many of us do, whether it's teaching, doing recovery work, maintenance work, documenting, policy development, and of course, all of it promoting the use of the language. So we're looking, those of us here at AILDI and those of us that work on languages, especially over the linguistics department, are looking forward to implementing certain things during the decade. And we will be, as we produce material and plans and events and so forth throughout the decade. I know that AILDI and NAMA, our master's degree program, and the linguistics department will be at the forefront of that. So I hope that you will, check our various websites and see what is going on, and we'll certainly try and keep the communities as informed as possible. So at this time, thank you for that time to just mention that. At this time, though, we will go to our program, and I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague, Dr. Wilson Silva, who is the coordinator of our master's program in Native American Language and Linguistics, and he has organized a panel of our current graduate students, and they will be our presenters this afternoon. So Wilson can do that. Okay. So anyway, so let me hand it over to Wilson. He will begin that part of the program.
So good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone online. I just want to say, for those of you attending via Zoom, you can post your question in the chat box, and I will read the panelists. I want to thank AILDI for inviting us, Alice, and also the work that Kirsten and Winona. Thank you for inviting us, and of course, thank you. And my job here is just to moderate this panel, and I'm very happy to do that. We have 3 of our NAMA students as panelists: Rosalia Horst, Shani, Gabby Vargas Nazarejo, Quechua from Bolivia, and Alan Wilson, who's attending virtually via Zoom. But before we start, I want to change the. So before we start, I just want to ask for a minute, a moment of silence in respect to honor of the people who died in the Bengali language movement. That was really like the reason UNESCO created this state, that in February 21st, 1952, in the uproar of the Bengali language movement in Bangladesh, several people, including several University of Dhaka students, attending demonstrations fighting for language rights and for the right to use the modern language. So I'll ask for a moment of silence. So yeah, in honor of with the spirit of promoting the preservation and protection of all languages used by the peoples of the world, so we celebrate today International Mother Language Day. And I will let each of the number students introduce themselves, and after the introduction, they will share with you with us their language journey, and we'll open the floor. We'll start with Rosalia.
Good day, everyone. My name is Rosalia Badforce. My Indian name is Outstanding Woman. I'm from the Northern Cheyenne Tribe in Montana. You can see the screen, my reservation's that little tiny dot there in the Rocky Mountain region up north. And we also have another Cheyenne language community down south in Oklahoma, which is also highlighted red. And they're also, to note with them, they're combined with the Southern Cheyenne and Arapaho tribe, so two different languages in that location. So I just wanted to show some pictures of my family because I believe this is where my journey with culture and education began. The older couple in the top photo that are sitting down in the chairs, those are my great grandparents. The man is the son of Chief Spotted Wolf, who fought at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. And so it's kind of like my family, we grew up with these stories. And another aspect of this is, you know, my great grandma Jean, she was known for making buckskin dresses and beading and sewing, and all the ladies across the top, you know, those three in the middle are her daughters, some of the daughters. And then my grandma is the one in the corner with the crown. And that buckskin dress was made by Jean. And so she passed that buckskin dress down to my auntie, which is in this bottom corner here. And the next picture over is a picture of me when I was about 12 years old. I'm wearing the same dress. That's my mother standing there with me. I would say it's just the language and the culture. I've always been surrounded by it, and it seems like my grandparents always made sure of that. And maybe it was subconsciously a little bit that this is just, you know, something where I got started. And go to the next slide. So as I you know, grew up around these things, I got into beading and sewing myself. The two moccasins in the bottom right corner there, those are just some of my family's moccasin designs. And I eventually just, you know, I was inspired by all these things, and I started to create other things. You know, I started making dresses, and I've made a couple men's shirts, and the blanket across the top is an old hoarding blanket that me and my husband made. Took us 1 year to make that. And there's just a lot that goes into it. There's meaning behind the colors, the designs, just a lot of oral stories and oral traditions that I've always been interested in. And go ahead and move to the next slide. And so as I got older, I actually got my bachelor's in business administration, completely different from culture and linguistics and all of that. But then I came back home, and then I ended up getting a job that was not even related to business. I got a job as a career counselor at one of the local high schools. And it seemed like I was just kind of doing these random jobs. I even worked for the public assistance office for a little bit, but in my spare time, I had gotten a Running Strong grant, and I was teaching the local youth in my community how to bead and sew and do these things that I enjoyed in my pastime. And I found that I really enjoyed these things. And in my adult life, I started taking college or China language courses at Chieftain Life College. That's my mentor up there in the shirt, a peachish colored shirt, Burt Medicine Bowl. Big shout out to him because, I never thought that I could continue learning my language into my adulthood until I met him, because he gave me so much encouragement, and as well as all my classmates. And that encouragement really goes a long way, especially when people have teased you or made fun of you for pronouncing something wrong. That encouragement really means a lot. And eventually I lost one of my grandparents, my grandpa. He was a Chinese speaker in my home, and that's really when it hit me, that I needed to do something more with language and culture to continue that. And so I decided to go back to school, and now I'm here at the university and in the American Languages and Linguistics program. And I feel like my journey, it's kind of just begun with linguistics, but the language it's always been there. And so here I am. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I apologize first. I am Gabi. Today I will talk to you in my mother's language. So that will be Quechua. And I guess you can. Yeah.
I think yours is a different.
I suppose, I don't know. Oh, well, I don't think go first, and then I can talk.
To help you get I have the PowerPoint here, or you want to try to get this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got it. Hold on. Should do that. Oh no. So we'll start here. Do I want to?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. So if you're playing a video, be sure to click the share sound checkbox.
Perfect.
Okay. So I guess that there is also an out so that they can do.
Ganguna tapurikungichekcha.
My journey will be more with my country history.
Ura,
Yeah. So.
ura.
Nolak dari tani, nolak Chabamba Manda Tani, Kunapa pada Ministeri Kesehatan dan tapi kesehatan terlibat.
Ganguna tapurikungichekcha. Mai pita kheshoruna tiya kunguri. Ura Amerika per.
Sudamerica yang tadi ya kunguri.
Ura
Una United Inca implementa de segundo para una tarea una contribución sobre países y Colombia, Perú, Ecuador, Bolivia, Argentina y Chile. Entonces,
No katahri Cochabamba Huachap Hatun mamaypis mamay
Samantha, Nova Nigiterma, Nova Cochabamba, Manta, Bolivia y Extremadura. Bolivia, Sudamérica son dos únicas. Entonces, Cochabamba, Bolivia son platunti únicas. En alguna vez de chat, células
Hatun mamaypis mamay Hatun mamay
cada Cochabamba, Nova Uña Cartera, Mamaypis, Atun Mamaypis, Sukuy, para Ocango,
Rango Chay pachapi sumaq paraq
Castingo, Chamantari,
chayrayku
Cochabamba, Cuchipitas, tentang gimana Cochabamba tangan itu nanti porque se llama Cochabamba Cochabamba ini pun mana Cocha hasta ya saya yang pertama tentang kayak saya Pampa Ari libre Pampa makan ahinas makan polvo tentang no punya kutila Pampa
chayrayku
saya sanggup mananya incu mananya mamai
Rango hinayapik Cochapampamanta
kunang Cochabamba porque kunang ninggu tidak tidak kamu nita sinacho tiara saya ukupe dengan nama mamai itu satu mamai itu kaukan mana ini
Rango hinayapik Cochapampamanta
para
mamay kawsayninman pacha mamay kawsayninman pacha netaq chikak chaykam kay qhichwa kawsayni pi kay qhichwa kawsay
Lakota hawang wakikunatan imanitas pasiluto warutuna kaikunan seman.
mamay noqata q'ipi
Mamay kulwawal mamay bakri nakarani warwawang. Ebin kita
kani
may pautay war. Kunang ka mauta warwawanya ani nila mo. Artinya sekali kita punya municipal dompet tumpera warnanya sama sejak pada sedikit kayak emang kita sih pernah nih saya kasih nama waktu kita sama main ini mas mungkin kasih suka orang yang jauh ini kasih tentang suka jauh nah udah
kani Chanta pishqawatayman
Kalian itu cukupan kayak ahina, no punya manfaat apa lain. Kayak masalah ini cuma kasihan itu bisa jadi jualan mengatakan kayak segala cuma punya kasihan gunanya.
Mamay kan
Contohnya cuma ini kasihan tak ya caranya di pelatih kolektif itu ya saya seperti saya disukai hasilnya negatif pun tak tentang positif sesuatu mamai saya dapatkan terbening di karbon yang sama sekali waktu tafsir yang sekali itu mana
chanta no linguística aplicada.
Universidad de Sonoma, de Bolivia, Universidad Mayor de Sonoma, gratis. Mana para lagi kita saya pikir no es para kayak kesuman kita tadi tarik lagi itu no kesuatu ternyata no ada perbedaan mahal gimana kalau imam main baik tadi warna kan main yang dari kesulitan mana nyoba apa yang
Chaymanta uhya chay wasiman lluqsiy.
Universidad Mama Charo, cerita apa yang cara lagi, jadi paling khas, mas aku tadi bayang tetap universitas di luar kota. Saya udah ancaman.
Chaymanta uhya chay wasiman
Saya
lluqsiy.
yang senai pada itu, jadi bermain. Kita ya coba main atau kayak gestionación sih jadi nama yang apa main. Gimana sih? Ya cekina, iwo waktu kerja cara mana ya sekarang ya sangat yang di mata yang tinggi ya cerita ya kan mana saya dengan yang kita walaupun aku nyambut siapa memang minggu hari saya nilai mata kuna iman kamu sesuatu kamu ya di kan kuna tadi mana yang dinasti kamu nanya beri menangis cerita dimana saya kesenangan karena ya itu ya tinggi saya terasa saya kali pun serta
Chaymanta tahrik programa de educación.
Khusus linguistics di Superman, tapi
Chay yampi kuyo.
kalau saya gimana bisa main saya khusus linguistik yang lebih tetap terus kemudian sampai pada awal lain saya tahu mami dan lagi setiap gimana saya juga waktu di makin not kerja kan ini waktu buku kerja waktu makin contoh kalau kayak kalau mungkin kerja
Aswan kepaman.
diam jadi jalan kuliah kemana saya di Korea gue macam budaya ya tentang cerita mananya nyawa punya ala hukum rumah itu bila rumah hukum migrasi minggu seguna dicantik tadi
Aswan kepaman tahri watiman yatah. Nyai Veronica.
tapi restoran kayak kasta pempata kenapa seguna ala kuliah restoran seguna
Tarabuko kausa ini manta helgarani.
usa como chacorrani, como ya chacorrani.
Tarabuko kausay ni manta helkatani imaray gutah kam
Kalau saya satu mama itu saya tindakan, mama itu tindakan. Nah, mama tanya ini, anda tadi ini uang ini, berarti ini uang tadi tina pun.
supus kang pikasya. Jadi
Tinggi asam rumah dari kumbi dan jadi dari kumbi.
supus kang pikasya. Jadi
Saya kira di warnamu gunakan maniti makai ke politik, maniti perlanjut juga politik. Oh, kalau kawan ini dari ini cara
nandri paiguna castellano
PTC menggunakan politik. Di waktu gunakan hasil terminggu guna minggu mas hasil politik mas manci. Contoh yang putusan janji saya castellano ini mana yang kan wawas itu nama yang cicis nikah dinapis kai
nandri paiguna castellano
di balik matahari saya tidak lagi nama
jaragu tatamama kuna wawas
depan boleh buat sama imara kita ketemu minggu edukasi orang castellano saya senang mulai
jaragu tatamama
castellano saya senang mulai lingkup kamu tata guna libre como lana pasang apa sih kalau apa
janta res pahamos pakhisyo simit
jadi sesuatu wawa cukup wawa berkumpul saya utapi sama-sama kalau ini kita kalau kita ini bicara wah memang mana bikin kan dan tetap ini kan historian itu masalah saja
mangu kas
karena religion macam gunanya dari antara setiap gue ada pada bukan punya
janta wawas ni
kita
kuti
pasti cara mama saya akan pun pasti nama ini saya mai kecuali ada beberapa kasus nama apa kecuali dari mama ya
jay uwa kausa
kita kalau kita main percobaan atau kawan kawan ini dari percobaan
macik
atau mana cara buku tinggal itu guna itu rumah percobaan bapak buat pun saya pusing ini akan cuma kita salah gitu kita walaupun ada sesuatu yang punya baik maka saya tahu kan
macik
kalau saya nak bukan sesuatu saya tahu sesuatu dan minggu main mana yang ini sesuatunya apa sesuatu punya sesuatu mana yang ini sesuatu paksa aja kita aja setelah gue cinta rumah cinta mana cinta sesuatu
mana nyaw pa tahina
Mana kuna sesi boleh jadi yang kuna yang sama layers dan yang ya jangan diam atau diam tetapi mana kesulitan mana cuma lalu infrastruktur sama seniman
pachi uyari was paigicho
atau ya kayak ini main pasti uyari was seniman nyawari menangis secara di mata siaran ya aku resume. Well, I really appreciate your attention and listen to me. I know that some people are from South America, and I know that some people do not understand English, so and neither Quechua, but so I take a time. I took an extra time, and I wrote all what I need to start, all what I told. Perhaps I didn't tell you the same because I have the plan to read all the stuff, but I prefer to show you all this journey because my journey, I guess that is not only my journey, it's the journey of so many people in my country. I forgot to tell you from Quechua, but there is a handout that you can find. I don't know, people share the handout. There is the handout in Spanish and in Quechua. So on those handouts, you will find many things. Like for example, I'm the first generation to be college or to have access to education because my mom, in my mom's generation, women, well, they were poor, so they do not have money and they need to be, and women didn't have the access to be at school, you know. So my mom, when I asked her, what should I say? She said, oh, well, you know, you need to say that HR is important. And there's so many laws that have changed in people's minds nowadays. That's not the same as in the past. Because in the past, people used to think that HR is not work. It's just for peasants. And there's so many things behind that, you know. Talking about Quechua is like talking about I learned with Rosalia that here if people call me Indian, perhaps it would be proud. But in South America, in Bolivia, if people call you Indian, that's an insult. And also, so many things, you know. I really would like to read what I prepared, and I guess that they will share what I told you. Gracias a los que me escucharon, sé que hay personas de Sudamérica que están viendo por Zoom, la magia de la tecnología. Y a veces no dije todo lo que tenía que decir en México, porque mi plan principal era leer lo que había preparado, porque la historia que yo conté es la historia de todos muchas personas, no solo quechua, sino de muchas otras nacionalidades indígenas de toda América, donde poco a poco estamos teniendo oportunidades. Y la verdad no es fácil, no se puede decir que es fácil, pero todo cuesta trabajo. La vida en el campo cuesta y tal vez tengo esa fortaleza de seguir adelante. Y espero que muchas personas se animen, ¿no? Porque a veces piensan, es muy difícil. En la vida todo es difícil, pero siempre se puede. Y si ustedes gustan, hay un resumen de todo lo que había preparado, ¿no? Tanto en inglés como en castellano, que pueden leer. Digo, bueno, espero que se los compartan. Gracias.
Yeah.
Thank you, Devin. Now we could go back to a slide with Alan. Are you ready, Alan?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Haumidaki api dama chiankapi iushkima hielo lokotiapi ki glega machiapi cha sichango yanke mataha. Ino ekin jardin Eastman chiapi ateo ekin Richie Wilson Jr. chiapi. Unchiwa ekin Lorraine High Pine Enna Yvonne Whalen Ewi Chakiapi. Lalawa ekin DeVere Eastman and Richie Wilson Sr. Ewi Chakiapi. Mi Chincha Num, Mi Chinkshi William Wilson Echiapi, Michungshi Julia Pearl Ichiapi. Manitu Shakoi. Lokoliapi Uspemichichie. Cha. Ake Yushkiawa Hielo. Dr. Wilson a Riapi Blaskawanji Openi Chatrunkta Getchami. So my name is Alan Wilson. I am a student of Lakota. I've been learning for about 7 years. And this is just kind of my journey of how I got here. And I can't really see the PowerPoint, but maybe can I share? Can I share? Can you guys see if I share?
Yeah, I think it would be easier to share. Yes.
Okay. I could see it. No, I could see it on the camera laptop. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'm from the Rosebud Reservation here in South Dakota. It is currently -21 outside. Very cold. You guys are lucky down there. You know, my language journey really started when I was a kid. If you go to the next slide, please.
Need Alan to share his screen. Does he have a slideshow?
Alan,
Yeah, I can share my screen.
okay.
Okay.
Can we just
Good?
This is Shinte Gleshka, right?
No, I'm on, whoa.
Oh, there you go. You got it.
Okay. So my language journey started when I was a kid. This is me in a diaper when I was a little boy. My grandpa used to speak Lakota to me. He was a fluent speaker. He hardly spoke any English. And I was really, they said when he would talk to me, I would get real serious and listen to him, you know. And anyway, as time progressed, I was exposed to Lakota. There were some expressions that I grew up with here on the reservation that I thought I didn't know were Lakota expressions. You know, it wasn't until I started to study Lakota that I found out these were actually Lakota expressions. Pocheche was one of them. And there's a few others that are there. But I wouldn't be where I'm at if it had not been for Sinte Gleshka University, local tribal college here. They really helped in a lot of ways. They're still helping a lot of people here. And they've done amazing things. Let me see if I can. Oh, okay, there's me again. Ninja Turtles. So if you don't really know, I said Dr. Silva is going to buy you all a pizza in Lakota. So I don't know if that's still fallible. I'm kidding, by the way. Anyway, so I started off, I was a history and culture teacher. I never really set out to be a Lakota language teacher. I eventually attended Summer Institute. I was originally a DJ at a local radio station. I was a program director. And I used to help with these camps like this here. We would set up teepees. It was a culture camp. And we would do a lot of cultural activities, a lot. With the kids, there would be storytelling. There was all this awesome stuff happening. We'd all sleep in the teepees. You know, it was a lot of fun. And basically where my first experience working with the youth came in, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. And again, like I had said, I never set out to be a Lakota language teacher. It wasn't until, you know, also with Sinte Gleshka University, you know, I did do some crafting, and I made a male breastplate and a bustle. And this is some pictures of it right here. And let's see if I can go forward here. I can't see. Oh. Okay, so those are the finished product of both of those projects that I did. I don't really have too much time though, being in grad school and working full time to actually craft anymore, but I do miss it quite a lot. And so I initially finished Sinte Gleshka University. I ended up working at a school And I taught first through fourth grade. And after my first year of teaching, which is, as a teacher, very memorable, right, for all of us that are teachers. And then I ended up going to the Lakota Summer Institute in 2015. And we had a lot of fun. It was just learning Lakota, practicing it. By the second week, we're all speaking and practicing, and it was really awesome to just be with a lot of young people. And growing up, when we would try to talk Lakota with our peers, they'd always make fun of us if we messed up or said something wrong. And now, but here it was actually like a little safe place to practice and make those mistakes. We had fluent speakers with us all the time, and they would help us along the way. And they had awesome input every time. In every class, there was a fluent speaker. And it was really, really helpful. And if you can find me, this was the group picture. I'm actually, well, you can see that, but I'm like right on the left side there, hidden. You could see half my face. Anyway, around this time, it was 2015, there was a study done. And this is Roosevelt Sioux Tribe. This is all the fluent speakers of the language that they had mapped. And my community actually has the highest, little humble brag there, but we had 96 fluent speakers at the time. This is 2015, and they found there was about 515 fluent speakers at this time on the reservation. Now this was 7 years ago in BC before COVID. So, we did lose more fluent speakers. We just lost a few more to COVID actually recently. And so the number has gone down for sure after 7 years. And, I'm not saying this to scare anyone. It's just kind of a reality. And it was also why I chose to learn Lakota and become a Lakota language teacher. And so I attended the Lakota Summer Institute at Standing Rock for about 3-4 years, and became a teacher. So it was quite the journey for me, but I wanted to keep teaching and I wanted to keep learning. And so, as time progressed, I really gave back to my community as much as I could. I gave back to my community. I would host free classes. I would teach at the jail. I would anything that I could do to give back and help people learn Lakota. That was something that I felt I could do and still feel I can do. And so I did as much as I could, volunteered. I still volunteer a lot. I have a really awesome mentor. His name's Ben Black Bear Jr. And he has been super helpful in all of this, in this journey. Anytime I need something or help with translation, he's there, and I'm really grateful for him. I actually asked him in our Lakota Way, asked him to give me we had asked him for a new name, so as a naming ceremony, and this was the ceremony here. And so there's me and Ben right there. There's my mom on the right side. And I was given the name Lakotiapiki Glecha, which means to overtake the language or master the language, is how Ben put it. I have a long way to go to live up to that, but it was very much an honor. I am currently the Lakota language program director here at a St. Francis Indian school, and I really enjoy what I do. I also still give back. I do host study groups for the language, all free. While this past time I was like, well, if you guys can help me pay for a cook, I would really appreciate it. And so the journey has been awesome. There's been a lot of obstacles in the way. Just in any kind of language revitalization efforts, there are those people that what they call them, naysayers, or those negative people out there. And it always seems like you're constantly under attack and under a microscope in this work. And had I listened and believed all of those, I wouldn't be here. I just kept going, and I kept doing the work. I keep doing the work day in and day out, no matter what, and give back as much as I get. That's the main thing for me, is giving back whatever I learned, even these classes here. So I found NAMA program, and I signed up and I was accepted. I was still really excited to be in the program. And, it's going to definitely help in whatever I can give back to my community from these classes, from this experience. I will, as much as I can, for sure. And it has been just a real honor to be in this program. It's everything I was looking for. And yes, that's my journey in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, before we go into the question session, I just want to end our panel with a poem by Rosalia Bedhorst.
Growing up, the kitchen was my favorite place. It reminds me of Grandma and Grandpa, get Ed and then morning smelled like Folger's coffee, smoked doubtful. This is the time in which I re-examined under a microscope. The kitchen sounded like get Ed and then speaking Cheyenne, Soot Dovinus and Sissinus. This is the time of learning, as time suggests. Get Ed cooked good food, get Hutton, eggs, kidney, dry meat, oven bread and more, over and over again. Meme would tell me to come over to the table and sit, hum stoats. This was the preface of my Cheyenne education as time denotes. On foggy mornings, he told me of the Cheyenne word mutton. It means turtle, but also means fog. It refers to the concept of when a turtle goes inside its shell and hides. Likewise, the fog hides the hills and trees and all that lay before your eyes. On summer days, he told me about hailstones. I said, Cheyenne warriors used to move towards an enemy in a zigzag pattern like hail, and then came down hard with sting and bloodshed. On sunny or rainy days, he told me about rainbows. No. If you ever see a rainbow around the sun, it means a storm is coming. In the spring, he told me about the thunder. No. When thunder comes, stretch and pull your hair so that you'll grow tall with long hair. Do this every time, for this is the tradition we are taught. These are the things you should know. Then suddenly one morning, Meme left this world for the next. Chaos felt poet stuff. My heart shattered to pieces soon enough. That morning was silent and lost. There was no Cheyenne chatter or stories, only an inhabited smell of coffee barely in use. That's when it hit me. The Cheyenne language soaked up in its narcissiness. That is our heart. This realization is what I want to address. Our people, if you hear me, Hanovidans, take courage, for we are the ones the land, culture, and language entrust. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And now we open for questions.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions for the panelists? Or
Also, if anyone on Zoom have questions, in this chat, put that question in chat. And then we can read it.
I'm not sure if the computer guy opened up the chat.
Oh,
Just give it a minute.
Would you describe how before you started your language learning journey most recently, you were already doing really meaningful work with youth in the area of culture and cultural maintenance? So I'm curious as you think about, as you started these journeys, just what, if anything, has shifted for you in that intergenerational work? So what is it meant for you to be doing this language work alongside it? You shared how it inspired you, but I'm curious how it makes you think about that intergenerational piece.
Is that for me?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Couldn't. It's really hard to hear, so I apologize. I know a lot of the work that prior, my mom was a Lakota language teacher and a Lakota history and culture teacher. And so I grew up around some of it in that sense. I guess it shifted for me when I started to learn Lakota, just the whole mindset of speaking and being able to joke with elders and visit with elders. And my mom is a fluent speaker. And so having conversations with her in the language was really powerful. And when I first started learning, I remember she just gave me a bunch of just high level vocabulary. And I had to really and then she was like, you know what I said? And I was like, no. It's like, please help. But eventually that was something that happened. Was we still converse in Lakota now, and it's very it's really empowering, and I'm really grateful for that. But again, for the youth to experience that, to hear grandparents come in and tell me that their children, their grandchildren were talking to them in Lakota, that to hear parents come and talk about how their children were learning in my classes, and to have parents in the feedback from the study groups that they had learned a lot of Lakota, more Lakota there than they ever had before, was also really helpful. And again, like Ben, Black Bear Jr., Uncle Ben, really grateful for his help, and me and him volunteer all the time. So when we do the study groups, it's all volunteer work. And and he shows up, and when he can, he's retired, but he works more now as a retiree than he did before. But yeah, it's really empowering, and I'm really glad to be where I'm at today.
thank you.
Yeah, so one of the schools, the local school I used to work at, it was a Catholic school, and so they used to have a separate course for religion. They offered beading classes, sewing classes, and then, gosh, what was it? A Cheyenne language class. And, those are 4 different courses to get into, but in our culture, it's all the same, it's all connected. And I think that's just been maybe one of my personal, I don't know, realizations. I mean, I've always known it's all connected, but now moving forward, it's trying to figure out how can we make that happen in our modern education systems.
Awesome.
I am.
Actually, funny story. Alan Town also, we have like a kinship system in like Lakota, and it's just you reference your, even if they're not your family, you reference them as your family. So I've always seen Alan as my uncle, who we actually met in 2015 at the LSI Institute. He likes to say I came in and saw a pizza and took it because he was teaching how to play a cultural game. It's not how it went, but in our culture, it's like you don't really talk about yourself, and I know Alan was like really holding back and like not saying anything. Like this guy's a rock star. Like that, like we met because of the language work, because my father's a fluent speaker, and I don't know, Alan will say like, I have a long way to go, but like I talk with Alan, like he's the person I go to and talk to and have conversations with, and like all the work he does is like really extraordinary. He's like, even with like when the pandemic hit, he like tried his hardest to like make it online, and like, oh well, okay, I guess Zoom is how it's working, so like I'm gonna transition to that. He incorporates his language work with the culture, and he teaches the kids how to play hand games. I was like, I thought that was one of the cool things. I learned how to sing with him because of that. And a lot of our work has been through that, and like we still talk about it. And we talk about different teaching methods, and you know, even though like Alan does a little bit different teaching methods than my father and I, you know, it's still cool because we're all still trying to like teach our language, and this is how we do it. His mug. It'll be a mug back up. But yeah, he's a really cool guy, and I was really excited when he came here because I don't know, to me, I felt a little bit less scared by going here to a university where I didn't really know anything. And it's pretty cool because we're both doing this language work, and I don't know, I want to be cool like him. Like, got my colonized tears mug, and no. And even just like, you know, he's always funny. Like, that's just like one of the things he does. But like, I feel like that's how he draws in the language. Like, making it accessible to the kids like that, because like you said, there's a lot of naysayers like that was happening within our culture. Like a lot of them would make fun of you in a really mean way if you said something wrong, or even if you didn't say it in the right dialect, and they'd come at you and they'd say you were saying it wrong, or oh, that's not how you say it, or they'd make these really backhanded comments at you. And that happened to me when I started to learn the language, and I was like 12, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go cry in the bathroom. But, and then just talking about it with Alan, I was like, oh, it's okay. And he said it's okay. And to learn a language, you have to mess up. You're gonna say it wrong, and that's how it's supposed to be. And, you know, him and my father just like really came together on that. I helped Alan teach some of his evening classes that he hosts at LSIT. You know, he's always just big jokester. Even like brings in like cultural games too, like that. Like, you know, that's you kind of see them as two separate things, but he makes them like go together as one. Yeah, so cool guy.
Thank you, Noni. I felt like the Wizard of Oz up here, by the way.
Any other questions? Well, thank you again, and thank you for coming here, and thank you for joining us on Zoom, for those of you around the country and maybe around the Americas. Yeah, thank you, AILDI.
So for those of you here, we have a reception on the west patio, lots of food, so please come and join us and continue talking. And on Zoom, sorry, we can't feed you, but should have been here.
Drink your colonizers tears back up.
Oh, okay.
Does it stop? How do you stop the